because that was when you decided you wanted to, get serious with the art. But when did you decide, like, okay, I need to start looking at this from a businessman's perspective?
Well, that decision and that had to happen when I was in college. Um, I used to get compared to other MCs at SIU, and one particular one is Open Mike Eagle. I'm sure a lot of people know who that
Yeah.
is, and I never really like knew him, but a lot of people were like, "Yo, you need to get on these shows that he doing or battle him," because people was hearing me battle people in the room, like in dorm rooms and stuff.
Yeah.
And that school didn't have a music business program; they had a music program.
Mm.
So when I got in trouble down there, and I had to go to another school,
Right.
that's when I was like, the next school I go to, which ended up being Columbia in Chicago, I'm gonna take a music management program so I can learn what we need to know to go further than just, okay, I can rap.
Right.
So that put me in the room with Russell Simmons. That put me in the room with the creator of CD Baby. Way early. Way early, bro. Like, that put me in the room with Stevie Wonder, lawyer. That was my professor. He taught me contracts early. You know what I'm saying? I'm not an actual lawyer or nothing, but I got taught by people that's in the field, not just teaching the class.
Right.
So that's when that happened.
All right. Cool. That's what's up. That's dope.
A lot of people don't know that shit.
Shit, I didn't know that shit, but that's dope.
People be wondering where the brain come from. You know what I'm saying? And they don't know the background at all until you ask me. You know what I'm saying? I don't just walk around here bragging. I know this. I know that.
Yeah. See, I don't think that I don't think that we have enough conversations about that, and we need to. Like, you already know what my background is, and so uh, it's wild. Like, from day one, we've always been able to talk about that
Yeah.
because it's like we understand, and I think a lot of us in the game who either we didn't know or didn't care, we, we, I guess you could say I see a difference in the perspective, and it's almost like it almost makes me feel like because we were fortunate enough to learn what we learned when we learned it, we figured out we had already learned we already knew what everyone else is just starting to figure out.
Yeah. Ahead of the curve.
Hey, and we've been applying it since day one. And so I want to talk a little bit more music business stuff. And I want to get your feedback on something that's going on right now. Um, you hip to what's been going on with De La Soul?
The 90-10. The 90-10 split.
Ooh, and the great $2 million mystery.
Now, I don't know about that. I didn't read all into it, but I kind of caught glimpses of the fact that their old catalog will be hitting streaming platforms, which is a whole lot of money for old school artists. It's probably like gonna be their newest, biggest stream of income
Right.
when they re-put these projects out, and that is gonna only they're only gonna get 10% of that split. But then I heard Tommy Boy stop the releases because they don't want that on their name. I think they gonna try to make it right for them brothers, which they should.
They definitely should. And you pretty much got like all the major points on that.
I don't know nothing about the $2 million thing.
Well, that was part of it. When they made that first announcement, that was like the hashtag. It was like the mysterious $2 million debt, or the mystery of the $2 million debt, something like that. And everybody, we can all have our own theories. I got one of my own, but they were like, they're not going to see any of the money. They're going to get 10%. Tommy Boy is going to get 90%, and there's a mysterious $2 million debt. And so,
Then who owe who?
right, because really they make it sound like Tommy Boy is trying to say that they owe.
Impossible.
Exactly. If anything, Tommy Boy should have been owed. Yeah, if anything,
They dropped the hits and they got raped. I'm guaranteed
Oh, it's
they didn't make as much money as they should have made already.
look, Tommy ain't their boy.
Exactly.
Right, there you go.
And so, yeah, like,
And I thought Tommy Boy was black owned, is it?
no, Tom Silverman. He's
Oh.
Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
That tells you what I know.
I'm just saying. First and all, who's your A&R? A mountain climber who plays an electric guitar? That's why Jesus said it on Liquid Source. That the first thing he said on labels. Tommy ain't my motherfucking boy. When you fake moves on a nigga, you employ.
The truth shall set you free, and it will come out.
And see, when you think about it, it ain't just daylight. You got, Naughty by Nature. You got, who else was signed to Tommy Boy?
Queen
New
Latifah.
York.
Yep, Queen
That's
Latifah.
what I knew for sure. Yeah, like you said, Naughty by Nature. I didn't even know De La Soul was on Tommy
Early
Boy.
90s, half of them was soul.
Yeah, like,
That's why I thought it was black owned. Like I felt like Queen Latifah wouldn't be with nothing else but a black owned company. Was the way she came out.
nah, that was just, well, I'm gonna tell you what it was. Hip hop was starting to pick up. It was starting to catch the attention of the mainstream, but while the people still had control of it, they shied away from. They basically went through an internal cultural shift because violence was getting out of control. That's why you saw the sudden change when like Eric B and Rakim and them, they had the gold chains, and then they started rocking medallions and beads after that because like the gold was bringing out jealousy, and people were becoming violent, and they were like, no, this ain't what we about, so let's stop the violence.
Right,
So,
take the bling out.
exactly. So when the native tongues came out, that's really what allowed the native tongues to flourish, especially in response to, because this is when Scott LaRock was killed.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Scott LaRock. Shouts to SLR.
Yeah, I never knew that because
When Boogie Down Productions was making, when By All Means Necessary Edutainment era stuff, really By All Means Necessary, because it was '88. So like, they were making just sophisticated gangster rap, basically.
I remember
But
KRS-One with the Uzi on the cover, but he was spitting them facts though.
it's all day. But see, at the same time, on the West Coast, NWA and Ice-T and Too Short, they was giving you that real raw gangster rap.
The stories, like this real news from the hood, right straight out of it.
Exactly. So while that was starting to take over the industry, the East decided to focus on a more consciousness. And so,
That's what self-destruction and all that came in.
exactly. So in the same year NWA came with Straight Outta Compton, the Jungle Brothers came out. And so with the Jungle Brothers, from the Jungle Brothers came De La Soul and Queen Latifah and Moni Love, and then a Tribe Called Quest. And
Be nice and all of that.
exactly. See, that's the biggest thing because March 3rd was actually the 30th anniversary of De La's debut album, 3 Feet High and Rising. That's why this is suddenly a big deal now.
30th?
30, bruh. It came out in '89.
Wow.
So some other artists who were signed to Tommy Boy was Ghostface had a deal with Tommy Boy.
African Bambaataa.
Yep, Africa Bambaataa, Above the Law, Biz Marquee, CNN.
What about Buckshot? With you?
No, Buckshot was always independent. He had Duck
That's
Down.
right, yeah.
That's right. That's
Still
right.
got
Yeah.
He's yeah, that's still independent.
So I say he in the hills off of his own deal.
Yep. Royce the 5'9", he was signed to Tommy Boy, Prince Paul, Method Man,
They had a super list, man.
the Force MDs, Gucci Mane.
See, that's what I was about to say. Back in my day,
You
Force
said
MD,
Gucci Mane?
Johnson Crew,
Yeah, Gucci Mane signed Tommy Boy back in the day.
Oh man.
Wow.
You said who?
Johnson Crew.
Oh, the Johnson Crew. That's a name I ain't heard in a minute.
Gucci Mane was signed to Tommy Boy. Wow.
Yeah, that was his. I think that was back when he was.
Before So Icy.
Yeah, no, way before. Way before
before
that.
that.
I want to say that his Gucci Mane's original first
Yeah, I
single
never
came
realized
out in
what
like
song by that.
90.
Because there was so
Gucci Mane's original first
many.
single came out in like maybe like 99.
Yeah.
You see,
Wow.
yeah,
I
see,
got
that,
Gucci's book. It's crazy.
yeah, see, that's wild. Johnson Crew, that's that Pac Jam.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Tommy Boy, that was the thing though, and I learned that early. But it's weird. I learned that it from the most irrelevant lesson because the story of TLC made me look at the record labels. It made me start really looking at who was repping these people.
Yeah.
And so when I looked at Tommy Boy, I'd already become hip that like Tommy Boy and Jive, they were already, and even Q-Tip says something. Well, industry rule number 4080.
Like a couple people like Shady.
So kids, watch your back because I think they smoke crack. I don't doubt it. Look at how they act. But as I was saying, like, I noticed all these shade deals was going on, and then as I was studying the history of music, it was like even when it was segregated, white people still owned music that was marketed to black people.
Yep.
And so when Tommy Boy came, and then I found out like them and Jive Records, like they were just jerking people, and then also black-owned labels were getting absorbed and bought. It's just like, nah, this ain't.
Nobody learned it till Master P came. That's crazy. He do not get his props. I hope that movie go crazy.
Yo, we gonna get into Master P in a second, cause that's a whole nother thing I want to talk to you about, from one self-made MC to another. Before we get into that, I want to get back into this record label thing, like, or better yet, ownership for artists, because that's really the name of the game right now.
That's because you never know what song will do what.
Exactly. And so, like, when you look at Tommy Boy, it was 1981. That's when it was founded by this dude named Tom Silverman, who got a degree in environmental geography or environmental science.
Wow.
Yeah, so like,
Nothing for music at all.
Nothing. Nothing with music.
right. So, but he founded a report. I don't know how you go from being like studying environmental science to starting a record label. Like,
Think about that. Environmental science. You're studying the environment, so that means you could be studying neighborhoods. You could be studying your surrounding.
Yeah.
So if they're in New York and he went to school for
In the 80s.
studying
the
the
environment.
environment,
And he's
what is
from-
your environment? The
he's
hip
from
hop
White-
culture.
He's from White Plains, New York.
Boom. It makes
They
perfect
would-
sense to what
they're
he
the
did.
biggest consumers of hip hop.
He might not went for
White boys.
Right. So really, what he did, his work of environmental studies, was really an act of social engineering.
turned that into money for itself.
And that was your economics lessons of the day, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
So,
It makes sense when you really think about it.
yeah, it really does. That's wild.
And then sit back for 4 years, like,
To go from
I
studying
can add this with this. They
ecology
like
and
this.
geology and meteorology to
Use
a
these
record
people.
label.
And he like it. He like that. Them white man. Thank you to the white folks, honestly. Cause if it wasn't for y'all, I understand they jerked a lot of people off, but the people who actually just buy these records and come to these shows, gotta be honest with yourself.
Yeah, shout outs to the ones that show love, especially.
Period. Period. In any color, all colors, but we know who the number one consumer is. I know who my number one fan is. It's a not even middle age, about 25 to 30, white male who has a career. He spends a couple thousand a year on his favorite artists by going to concerts, whether it be traveling to a festival, buying a room for the weekend with his girlfriend. He listening to me on his break. He listening to me while he go to the gym. He listening to me when he roll up. He listening to me on the way to the club.
Hey, that's up.
Period.
He always finds a way because it's that good.
He's streaming. He's buying. He's getting merch. He coming to the concert, and that's Tom Silverman. If you think about it, that's how they end up being them CEOs, because they was fans first. They just think they had the money and the way to turn it into some more money.
It's a good way to look at it.
My biggest fan is my CEO, I'm sure. It's a white dude.
Shit, he better be a fan. He better be a fan.
And that's how I knew him first. I just thought he was a fan commenting on my SoundCloud page.
I feel that. And be like that. So now, to get to Master P. Once again, I don't really like talking a lot about celebrities. Not necessarily Master P in particular, because Master P, to me, is different. He is, like I said, he's self-made. He's always went by his own rules. But I say that, so with that said, you know, who I do mention, who should never be in this podcast conversation, is one of them Kardashian girls. I already forgot her name, but the whole thing about her being a self-made billionaire.
The
little
youngest
sister.
one.
Yeah, the little sister.
That mess with Travis Scott. We ain't gotta say her name.
Right. Exactly. So
That's how I know it.
It's not
Exactly.
self-made
Baby mama.
at all.
It's
No,
not
she was
self-made at all.
put there.
But here's the wildest thing about that. Forbes explained it. They said that she's self-made because she did not inherit the means to amass her fortune. But you know who that would disqualify? Master P. Because Master P's fortune, it all started,
Was grandfather passed or something like that.
yeah, he inherited the
What was
money
it,
in a
10,000?
malpractice. Yeah, he inherited $10,000 in a malpractice settlement. And he took that money, started No Limit Record Shop, turned that into No Limit Records, turned that into...
Well, we can still do that on Kylie for the simple fact that when did Kylie ever flip a burger at Burger King? When did she ever clock in at Petco?
And that's my whole issue. It's like...
'Cause I remember she was ugly for almost 14 years of her life before she had that plastic surgery. So
Somebody paid for a surgery.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Let's just keep it OG.
I
Let's keep it
mean-
OG. All of them were ugly except for the oldest sister.
She didn't even make herself in that right. Like,
You know?
and that's my whole thing.